people really need to go through all of these stages to become a buying client. And the smoother you can make that process and that transition from awareness to conversion, the quicker someone is going to become your client, and also the better the client they're going to be. Okay, in this video, I want to talk about what's called the marketing funnel. You've probably heard the word funnel thrown around a lot. Basically, what a funnel is, it's just a visual representation of your customer journey. So basically how your marketing brings someone from a stranger to a paying client. And I have my iPad here with a visual representation of a funnel. And the reason it's called a funnel is because it looks like a funnel, as you can see. The main concept of a funnel is people have to go through certain stages in the buying journey in order to become a client. And what a lot of people do, artists, businesses, they make the mistake of is they go straight into asking for a sale, assuming that people will buy straight away as soon as they hear about you. And that's really not the case. It's only really the case with kind of word of mouth, rarely, but usually word of mouth is kind of here in engagement, and then they have one step left rather than four. Let's talk about the 4 different stages that the usual funnel has and how that relates to you as a tattoo artist and how you can capitalize off that. And this video is really for you to just have a real basic understanding of the foundations of marketing, how funnels work, and how it basically ties into your whole kind of customer journey. So the 4 main stages of a funnel here are awareness, evaluation, engagement, and conversion. And the concept here is someone can't go from engagement to conversion straight away. They need to go through evaluation, engagement, and conversion as well. Same goes if someone figures out who you are, they can't just jump from awareness to engagement. They also need to evaluate their opinion of you through different varieties of modes as well, and which we'll get into here. So the first one then, awareness, which is the top of the funnel. So what you'll hear a lot of marketers and business people say as well is like TOF, MOF, BOF. What that basically means is just the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, so MOF, and then BOF, which is bottom of the funnel. And what that basically means is how your audience comes into your funnel or comes into your buying journey is at the top, of course, right? They feed in here through the top. So first stage of that is awareness. So basically knowing who you are. If someone doesn't know who you are, they're basically out here on the edge of the funnel. They're not actually in your funnel yet. As soon as they know who you are, they are now part of your funnel. Okay. On that note, then, the awareness stage is kind of where they find you and they know you exist, right? So that's kind of cold advertising or social media content, right? Or word of mouth as well. But for the most part, I'm going to kind of talk about the perspective of someone, of a stranger who's never heard about you before. So that's the awareness stage. And that's usually through your social media content. And if you're running ads, your ads here. So if I just circle these 2 options up here, so that's your social media content and PPC, which is pay-per-click. But most of you guys will be running Instagram ads, especially if you're going through this roadmap. There's a whole Instagram ads course in there. So the next stage then is evaluation. So they now know who you are. Now they're going to evaluate their opinion of you. Is this an artist I want to learn more of? Is this an artist I would potentially see myself going to? So what I'm going to do here is just draw here as well. These 2 kind of top of funnel, middle of funnel stages are creating opinion. Okay, perfect. So the next stage here is engagement. So this is where people have evaluated their opinion of you. They have evaluated a good opinion of you. They like you. And this is where they start to engage with your content and kind of take a closer step towards becoming a client, right? So liking, saving, sharing, and then potentially even reaching out, which stems between engagement and conversion, which we'll get into now in a second. So this is where you basically become an option. Okay, and then finally the conversion stage is where they convert into a client. So this is where they reach out. This is where they book a consultation. They ask about pricing, all of that sort of stuff. That is in the conversion stage. And that is the very bottom of the funnel. That is the last stage they have to go through before they become a paying client. After that, they are a paying client here at the bottom. So that's a quick breakdown of your funnel. So that's your top of funnel, your middle of your funnel, which is kind of these 2 stages here, evaluation, engagement, and then bottom of funnel is conversion. And then out the other end of the funnel, when they come through the funnel, is them being a paying client. Okay, and the reason this is so important is it's a visual description and demonstration of how everything is interconnected in your marketing. Okay, so people really need to go through all of these stages to become a buying client. And the smoother you can make that process and that transition from awareness to conversion, the quicker someone is going to become your client, and also the better the client they're going to be, because they've ticked all of the boxes in terms of the funnel, which allow them to trust you more, give you more creative freedom, be willing to pay more, because they have, in their mind, made a really informed, rational decision. Okay, but the trick here is understanding this. You can speed up the time that someone goes through the funnel. Is up at the top here. You can see email marketing, blogs, online directory, PPC, print, SEO, word of mouth, social media. Now, a lot of these aren't going to relate to you as per se. And one thing I'll mention as well with a funnel is simplicity scales. So what I mean by that is a lot of people will try to do everything at once, but you can't have a complex system before you have a simple system. That's actually called Gall's law in business. Every complex system at one point had to be simple. And on the contrary, if you start with a complex system or funnel or system of marketing, you're going to be forced your hand to basically go back to a simple model, which I've learned that lesson many times over myself. So here in the awareness, you've got your social media, right? You've got your, and then you've got potentially your word of mouth. They're kind of 80% of the way through the sales, because they find you, they evaluate the tattoo on their friend's body, and then they engage with their friend, who then passes them over to you. So a lot of word of mouth actually go through the first three stages quite quickly: awareness, evaluation, engagement, and straight to conversion. But that's the issue, is a lot of tattoo artists have gotten a lot of their clients through word of mouth, which is amazing. But if you're trying to scale here, you're trying to attract higher value clients, and you're also trying to do more of the work you want to specifically do, which is the power of marketing and social media. Your strangers per se who come into the funnel need to go through these extra stages. So they're not going to become a client as easy as a word of mouth client, which is the big issue that I see tattoo artists misunderstand. Okay, so then with evaluation, once again, that's kind of your social media. Okay, and also here in evaluation engagement, that's where you can implement your email marketing here. Okay, so if, engaged, they've evaluated, they like you, then they're engaging, right? They give you their email for whatever reason, like a newsletter or to book a consultation, whatever it is, and that's where your email marketing comes in. I don't know why I keep switching to that thing. I need Oscar to give me some Procreate lessons. Okay, and then also as well with awareness, you can have SEO on your website too. But the main ones for you here, and especially in this roadmap, is going to be your social media. You can pretty much do everything you need, and you can accomplish everything you want as a successful tattoo artist with just really good social media content, and potentially as well retargeting ads, which we'll get into later in this. People give marketing the description like a funnel, is because in a funnel you could, in visual terms, you could have holes in your funnel. So basically people are coming in here to your funnel and then they're leaving at the engagement stage, right? And what you can do with your marketing is basically plug those holes. Okay, so if I just do another color here, you have a hole. You can plug that hole by doing email marketing, by making more social media content, and then you have less people leaving each side and staying in your funnel. Okay, so on that note, the next stage then is conversion. This is where you can have, for example, your consultations as well. Okay, you can also have, as I said, your email marketing. Word of mouth obviously comes through there as well. But the main goal is to understand what your funnel really should look like. Start with one system first. So for example, Instagram content, they come in, they watch your content, they engage, you capture their email in a newsletter, you send them emails, and then you're also running a retargeting ad and you're posting stories about your bookings, right? That would be a simple funnel. And then of course it's way more in depth with each stage, with the type of content you should make, when to ask, etc., which is all in this roadmap. But that is the basic core principles of a market. Once again, it's described as a funnel because it looks like a funnel when you visually draw it out. And most importantly as well, the funnel doesn't end when someone becomes a paying client, because once they become a paying client, what do? Well, they give you word of mouth. They also re-engage with your social media and rebook back in again. You can also be sending emails to previous clients saying I've had a cancellation, etc. You can also be running ads to, this is getting really messy, but you can also be running ads to your existing followers. A lot of them will be previous clients. And the whole goal is to get people back into your funnel again as soon as possible, and then to get them through the funnel as quickly as possible, but most importantly as smoothly, and to make sure that they go through every single stage in the funnel. Because remember, if I just get rid of all of these extra lines, the main focus here, your funnel is interconnected, then you probably have holes in your funnel, as I mentioned. And that really ties into the 3% buyer's rule as well, which is the next video. But basically, 3% of people are actually only here, 7% are only here, 30% are here, 30% are in awareness, and then the other 30% will never even enter your funnel. So remember that too. Most people think that they're failing because they're only focusing on this 3%. But what you're forgetting is most of your audience is in these first 3 stages here, okay? Awareness, evaluation, engagement. And the goal of your social media content and your marketing in general is to, once again, get people through the funnel smoother, but make sure that they go through every stage. So that's the marketing funnel. In the next video, I talk about what's called the 3% buyer's rule, which basically breaks which percentage of your audience in each stage and what type of content and marketing you can do to get them through quicker.